Hi everyone, this is Lara Hammock from the Marble Jar channel, and today we're talking about giving kids an allowance. This is the last of a three-part series. Part 1, we went over allowance basics and some questions. Part 2 covered how to do it with a minimum of fuss. And in this last one, we're going to give some tips for teenagers and allowance. My kids are both youngish teenagers now. They're 15 and 13. And the issues we have now are really different from the ones we used to have in every way. Allowance is, of course, no different. I'm figuring this out as I go, but I'll share some of the things I've decided on, for now at least. Dining. This has been a little tricky. My kids, as middle schoolers, have liked to walk to Chipotle on Fridays after school with a bunch of kids. So this gets pricey, and it is not within their means if you figure a $10+ burrito 4 times per month. The problem is that I do feel obligated to feed them, so I agreed to pay for half of their meals. It used to be that I would give them cash, but only subtract it from their spend account every other time. But that required me to keep a log to remember whose turn it was to pay. Anyway, it only recently occurred to me to just subtract half of the cash that I dole out. So if I give my son $10, I take $5 out of his spend account. Easier and less mentally taxing. Entertainment. So this is a totally different deal. I feel no obligation to pay to entertain my kids. They're on their own. Movies, trampoline parks, ice skating, etc. Unless we go as a family, in which case I'll pay, they have to pay their way. Cash. Honestly, this was the bane of my existence for a while. They constantly seem to need cash, right? I hate giving out $20 bills since I never get change back, and they just figure out a way to buy candy with whatever is left over. So I started getting cash from the bank in $5 bills. I store it in this locked combination pouch. I actually have a video on that if you're interested. Believe me, the lock is absolutely required in my house. I learned that the hard way. They get $10 for runs to Chipotle, $5 for snacks at the football game, and $25 for mall shopping. All of this comes out of their allowance, but I like being able to dole it out in something smaller than $20 increments. Clothing. I have 2 really different kids in this regard. Okay, in every regard. My son doesn't think about clothes and doesn't want anything new most of the time. Shoes are an entirely different issue. My daughter could always buy something new and also loves to shop. Generally speaking, if they make a reasonable case about needing something, then I'll pay for it. But I do draw the line at brand names. My kids don't have to wear hand-me-downs, shop at Goodwill, or wear strange homemade clothes the way that I did as a kid. And I know from painful experience just how important clothing is to being able to fit in, especially in middle school. But that doesn't mean just because everyone else has $200 Uggs that I think you need to have them. I have an established amount that I think is reasonable to pay for certain items. I'm always happy to entertain arguments to increase that amount, but be sure to come with some backup data. So here's some basic pricing in our area. $20 for a shirt, $30 for shorts, $50 or less for a nice dress, $70 for a pair of reasonable brand name sneakers. And yes, I've been told by an equally cheap parent that brand names matter in shoe wear for boys, within reason, of course. So what happens if my daughter falls in love with a shirt that costs $60? She just pays that difference with her allowance. This circumvents a lot of arguments. It's never a matter of, can I have it? It's a matter of, is it worth it to you? Mistakes. As painful as these are to watch, they are necessary for the whole experience. My son is going to kill me for telling the story, but he has invested in some truly ridiculous things over the years. By far the most ludicrous thing he has bought was this vibrating ab belt that was guaranteed to define your abs in 60 days. His dad and I both told him that this was crap. The only way to actually define your abs was by doing ab exercises. But $99 later, he was the proud owner of a perfectly useless piece of snake oil machinery. He agrees now that was a stupid purchase, but I'd rather him make the mistakes now and become a more wary consumer then on more important things later. I don't pretend to have any of the answers here, particularly with adapting the system to work for teens. I consider all of these decisions in progress. And you'll notice I don't address teen jobs or the valid idea of giving enough allowance to older teens so that they can choose both their needs and their wants. These are bridges that we haven't had to cross yet, so I'll reserve my judgment on them until that time. I think it's important to have these conversations with teens about needs versus wants, whether products are worth it, and paying extra for brand names. And I'm still a big believer in money management training for kids of almost all ages, but particularly for teens who are on the cusp of financial independence. I'd love to hear your experiences with this. Leave your questions, experiences, and thoughts in the comments section. And as always, thanks for watching.